صلى الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله قاصم الجبارين مبير الظالمين مدرك الحاربين والصلاة والسلام وتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي سمي في السماء بأحمد وفي الأرض بأبي القاسم محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى بيته الطيبين الأطهرين سيما أولهم أمير المؤمنين وآخرهم بقية الله العظيم روحي وأرواح العالمين من تراب أقدامهم فداء ورحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم وقتلتهم وغاصب حقوقهم ومنكر فضائلهم الأمين. أما بعد, for the happiness of Zahra for the enlightenment of the graves of the Mu'mineen, for the graves of the Shuhada, Ulama, Siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahlul Bayt around the world, and for the safety and hastening of their reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'zam Arwahum al-Fida. Please recite your loudest salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who is Rahman, the one who is Rahim, the one that created man for no reason except that he may worship him and through that worship attain his ultimate aim, and that is his ma'rifah. In Hadith Qudsi he addresses the Holy Prophet, says, Ya Ahmed, kuntu kanzan makhfiyya, fahbabtu an a'raf, fakhalaqtu al-khalqa likay a'raf. That, O Ahmed, I was a hidden treasure and I desired to be known, so I initiated creation so that they may come to know me. Because through his ma'rifah he could bestow his rahmah upon man, so he could watch his creation attain the highest states of kamal. That individual that could reach the height where he says in another hadith Qudsi that Ya ibn Adam, you come close to me and then I will give you the ability to say to something kun fayakun, to be, and it will become. But son of Adam, you just come close to me so that I bestow my mercies upon you. But it's unfortunate that man spends his life drowning in the multiplicities of this world, diverted by everything around him, that he's unable to attain that divine glory. He's unable even once in his life to experience that nur isfa budiyya, that nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that nur of, that is known as that nur Muhammadi that emanates within the core of every man. But because he suppresses it so much, it's unable to shine through, it's unable to illuminate those dark parts of his soul, that corporeal nature of that individual, that esoteric nature. It is that nur isfa budiyya that illuminates them, that gives man those visions, that gives man that knowledge of the unknown, that knowledge of the unseen. It's what enables him to have those mukashifa. But he spends his life diverted, spends his life forgetting. Al-Hakim al-Takathur. Everything diverts his attention. But there's a time when he realizes, when does he realize? When his head hits the stone of his grave. كَلَّا سَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ. At that time he shall know. ثُمَّ كَلَّا سَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ. Surely at that time he shall know. He shall view the haqa'iq that he denied. Those realities that were around him at every point. Those malaika that surrounded him. He was unable to see them because his heart was so impure. Now that his head hits the stone of the grave and all of the curtains are lifted in front of his eyes, now he sees, he realizes, but now it's too late. He's sealed his fate. He's sealed himself in that downward spiral. That divine light is within every single human being. We suppress it over time. We no longer allow it to shine through. That divine light that emanates from the divine, that is attached to the divine. Because twice in the Holy Quran, he says, نَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي, I blew my soul into him. That divinity exists within every human being. That divine soul, that divine breath exists within every human being. But as we grow older, our sins suppress that divine voice, that divine connection with Allah. That divine breath that exists within us, that divine spirit that exists within us, is forgotten through our constant sin, through our constant turning away from Him. Our role as human beings is to once again purify that divineness within us, that true humanity within us. We have to go back. We have to begin to unwrap ourselves. It's like that individual in the cartoons that would come on previously. You'd see that there was a character at the top of a building, and he would fall, and he'd begin to hit every washing line on the way down. And he'd get wrapped in all of these clothes. He would survive. The true individual was inside, but he was wrapped in various layers of clothing. The true individual was inside, but various hijab enveloped him. His role was to peel back the hijab of jealousy, the hijab of pride, the hijab of anger, the hijab of lying, the hijab of looking at what I shouldn't be looking at, the hijab of listening to what I shouldn't be listening to, the hijab of saying what I shouldn't be saying. And when I slowly begin to uncover that, then that divine self begins to shine through. And these aren't my words. These aren't my understandings. No. Now knowing this understanding, knowing this example, come to the words of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Man arafa nafsa faqad arafa rabbah. The one who knows himself knows his Lord. Or then come to that famously quoted line that says that your cure is within you, but you don't perceive it. Says, أَتَسْمَعَنَّكَ بِجِرْمٌ صَغِيرٌ. Do you consider yourself to be something insignificant, while within you is Alimul Akbar? Within you is all that great universe. Why is it existing within us? Because we are connected to the divine. But we forget it. We suppress it. We suppress it in our children. Our children are naturally inclined to be good human beings. We suppress it within them. We teach them how to lie. We teach them not exactly per se how to lie, but they view our nuances, the way that we lie. We teach them of the duality of existence, or having multiple faces. One face for the masjid, one face at home. We teach them our hypocrisy. We don't tell them be a hypocrite. No, they view us being hypocritical. We teach them they are inclined towards sharing and doing good. We tell them, don't share this toy with that child, he'll break it. So we teach them deception. Hide this from that child because he'll come over and he'll break it. Don't share your food. You need to eat it. You need to be strong. Do you see how we kill their humanity? They are born inclined. They are born godly. with all those sifat. But we destroy it one by one. They don't require shaitan. We destroy it within them. We show them the duality of existence, or this double nature, this two-faced nature, that when you go to the masjid, you act like this. When you go home, you act like this. In the masjid, at times, we say to them, when you go to the masjid, they see us, we are very religious. At home, not so much. Or sometimes it gets even worse, that we allow them to treat the masjid or the Husayniyah worse than we allow them to treat our homes. We let them mess around, we let them jump off things, we let them climb upon things that, you know, the member of Rasulullah, we're allowing them to climb off it and jump off it. But at home, that brand new sofa that I brought, they're never allowed to jump on that. They're not allowed to stand with their feet on that. But the member of Rasulullah is okay, it's fine, it's for the children to play. At home, if they don't pick up their plates from the dinner table, they're grounded, or I do whatever, and I make sure they understand. In the Husayniyah, no, it's fine, leave your plate. At home, if they leave the toilets in the state that they leave the toilets in the Husayniyah, they'll be ready to be hit around the head. But for some reason, there's a different rule for when we bring our children to the Husayniyah. If a guest comes round my house and they are speaking and my child speaks over them, it's a problem. But when someone's speaking at the Husayniyah, forget my child, I'm speaking over them. Do you see how we teach them, how we destroy them? We destroy their humanity. And the only way to uncover that true self is through tazkiyatun nafs, through contemplation, through purification of the soul. And when we uncover and we attain that sharh al-sadr that I alluded to yesterday, that sharh al-sadr that Nabi Musa asks for, Rabbi shrah li sadri, or that Allah addresses the Prophet, Alam nashrah laka sadrak, did we not expand your chest? When we attain that, that's when slowly we begin our journey towards Allah. And that is only attained when the soul, or when our faculties have been perfected. With the perfection of our faculties, our quwwat al-ghadabiyya, the power of anger, quwwat al-shahwiyya, the power of desire, wa quwwat al-wahmiyya, the power of imagination, when they are perfected, an individual attains sharh al-sadr. Because the sadr is the place where all of these base desires, the chest is where all of these base desires reside. This is where nafs al-ammara resides. When Nabi Yusuf says, Inna nafs al-ammaratin bisu', and surely nafs al-ammara is inclined towards evil, it does not mean that our nafs al-ammara is evil. Because Allah does not create anything evil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not create evil. He only creates perfection. It's us that create the evil. See, the nafs al-ammara is your base animal desire. It's what helps animals survive in the wild. It's what keeps them alive. But they have something that man doesn't have, or man has something that they don't have. Although sometimes you could argue it the other way as well. Man has something that they don't have, and that is aql. That is the intellect. Al-aqlu ma 'abida bihi ar-Rahman. And the aql, the intellect, inclines a person towards the worship of Allah. When someone came to Amir al-Mu'mineen and said to him that look how aqil Muawiyah is, look how smart he is, he's turned all these people against you. Amir al-Mu'mineen said, this is not aql, tilka hilatun. This is deception. Al-aqlu ma'abida bir-Rahman. So, the intellect is inclined towards Allah. So now, when I consider myself to be someone very intelligent, possessing a master's degree, embarking upon a PhD, but I still find myself committing sins, not praying, not observing hijab, doing everything against the orders of Allah, I realize that in fact I am not actually aqil, but in contrast I am jahil. I am ignorant. Because the intellect inclines the person towards Allah. But I consider my intellect to be the amount of degrees that I hold, or the amount I turned over, or the amount I earned in bonuses last year. But the aql is inclined towards Allah, solely towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sharh al-Sadr is the perfection of these faculties through concentrating, through viewing what these powers are, viewing how they incline towards haram. I being, losing my temper or not having enough temper when I see people doing haram against the religion, or when I see, someone decimating, for example, the establishment of salah, and I don't get angry. See, this is a problem, that we have negative and we have positive. We have too much anger, too much quwwat al-ghadabiyyah, not enough quwwat al-ghadabiyyah. The intellect is what tempers all of this and brings it to a middle point. Inshallah, that we can discuss on a later night. So when the faculty of the soul, it resides within the sadr, within the chest. This is why يوسوس في صدور الناس. That shaitan, the devils, they worship, they whisper to the chest of man. يوسوس في صدور الناس, they whisper to the base desires, that nafs al-ammara. When they whisper to it, an individual who is unable to control or does not have control over his aql, he will go and do that haram that shaitan, or not shaitan, the shayateen. Shaitan sits for the big fish, not for small fish. He sends his minions to do that work. You also fi sudur al-nas, these shayateen, the smaller satans, they whisper to our chest, do this. And I think, okay, I'll do it. And so I go and I incline myself towards that haram, and I'll follow that haram because they've whispered to my base desire. Though none of them will actually be punished for any of this, I will be punished for all my sins. There is no debate, or there is no sort of mitigation in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that shaitan may be doing. No. The Quran says, مثل الشيطان قال للإنسان اكفر فلما كفر قال إني بريء منك إني أخاف الله رب العالمين. That shaitan, the example of shaitan is he says to man, do kufr. فلما كفر, and they do kufr, they disbelieve. قال إني بريء منك, on the day of judgment, he says, I seek distance from these people. I have nothing to do with them. إني أخاف الله رب العالمين, I fear the Lord of the worlds. I just whispered to them. They're the ones that acted upon it. And so, when the sadr is purified, then that divine light, because the chest is the place of the nafs al-ammara, that baseline desire, the heart is the place where the divine light resides. This is where the divine light, that illumination, that resides within the heart. But what happens is through constant sinning, the evil of my chest, that I have developed begins to creep and overtake the divine light in my heart. And it pushes out or smothers that divine light. And so I'm unable to feel that spiritual high anymore. I'm unable to feel like I want to stay awake and do ibadat. I don't feel like I want to recite the du'as at the time of sahar. I always try and make it, and the nafs is very, crafty in the way that it does it. I know that there is something available at the time of sahar. But my nafs says to me, look, those extra 2 hours, you could sleep. You need sleep. You're going to get tired. You should sleep. Wait till the 23rd. You don't need to stay awake. All these nights are, they're not the proper ones. Although inshallah tomorrow, because being Laylatul Qadr, I'll analyze this hadith where we have that what happens on the 19th, what happens on the 21st, and what happens on the 23rd. We have narrations. It's not that these are just little Laylatul Qadrs and the 23rd is big Laylatul Qadr. No. Every single night requires ihya. It requires a person to stay awake until the time of Fajr. Because each night has a different decree from Allah that is attained. Inshallah, we'll discuss that tomorrow. But when the soul is inclined, because the soul is genuinely inclined towards ease. Assalamu alaikum. How are you? The soul is inclined towards ease. And sin is always the easy option. Sin is always the easy option. The soul will tell you to eat. The soul will tell you to sleep. The soul will tell you to talk. Because it's easier than not eating. It's easier than not sleeping. It's easier than not talking. But yet all three of these things, not eating as much, not sleeping as much, not talking as much, all three of these are essential in spirituality, in spiritual progression. But because the soul is inclined towards ease, an animal in the animal kingdom will not chase a prey if it has already a weak, more injured prey that it can eat. If it can go after something that is slightly injured and won't run as fast, it will always go after the injured part of the flock. It will never go after something that is fit and healthy. And this is the way the soul is. It does not go for the harder option. It will tell you, eat, because the food is there. The aql will tell it, no. And many of the urafah, they would partake in these spiritual exercises, where they would put out something in front of themselves that they wanted to eat or something that they desired, but spend the whole night looking at it but not touching it, in order to temper the soul, in order to bring the soul under control. The same way that you train an animal, the soul itself needs to be trained. Sharh al-Sadr gives that expansion of the chest. That's what it is, that perfection of faculties. Nabi Musa is saying to Allah that give me the Sharh al-Sadr, so when he's disrespectful to me, Fir'aun is disrespectful for me, I'm able to bear it. And I'm able to reply to him with good words. See, there's a difference between Mahasin al-Akhlaq and Makarim al-Akhlaq. Mahasin al-Akhlaq is when someone does good to you, return the good. Or if someone's indifferent to you, you do good to them. Makarim al-Akhlaq, where the Holy Prophet says, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِيُتِمَّمَ مَكَارِمُ الْأَخْلَاقِ, Makarim al-Akhlaq, that I have come in order to take your akhlaq to its makarim, to its peak. When a person has makarim al-akhlaq, at this point the person now does good to the one that does bad to them. Don't just do good to the one that does good to them or the one they're indifferent to. No, the person that does bad to them, they do good to them. It's a difficult place to be. And this is what we're trying to attain. Everything that we do in our lives, if it isn't working towards perfection of the self and being more inclined towards Allah, it is wasted. all those hours that I work for my children. Yes, al-mal wal-banun zinatu hayat ad-dunya. Yes, children and wealth is the beautification of your world, of your life in the world. But when that child is sadaqah jariyah for you, when you have taught it something good, that when you die, it continues to follow the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and all the thawab goes towards you. But if I've spent my whole life trying to earn money, saying it's for my children, life insurance, this, that, for my children, what will they do after me, this, and I don't spend time with them, teaching them about the religion, rather all they see me is going, and I'm saying, no, it's for your college, it's for this, it's for that, it's for this, and then I see that when they get to that age of 14 or 15, they're not inclined towards the religion. They don't want to pray. When she reaches 9 or 10, she doesn't want to wear hijab now. She's saying to me, get over it. I feel insecure without hijab. No, this hijab, I don't want to wear it. Because I've spent my whole life chasing something else. The Quran speaks about it. It says your children are a fitna for you in the world. That's when they become the fitna. Because I chase the dunya claiming it's for my children. But in reality, not only do I destroy my own akhirah, but I destroy their akhirah. So I'm too busy chasing something that cannot be attained. The example of the dunya is like that of a shadow. The more you chase it, the more it gets away from you. On the day of Qiyamah, what means is that a woman will be brought forward, old, ugly, haggard woman, but covered in makeup and lots of jewelry and wearing flashy clothes. And she will be brought forward, and the people of the dunya will say, will you marry her? And they will all reply, astaghfirullah, we would never marry anything as ugly as this. The reply will come, but this is that same dunya that you chased all your life. This is that same dunya you chased all your life. This is that dunya that you had sleepless nights for. This is that dunya that you stayed awake crying for. Thinking, where will I pay this bill? Who will come and help me? How will I pay my mortgage? This is it. This one. Is zahir, is beautiful. But it's inner self. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. And the only way that we will remember that this dunya is transient, it is dani, it is low, is when we remember our death. The prophetic tradition says that al-qabru yunadi fi kulli yawm bi khamsin kalimat. That the grave calls out every day saying 5 things. It calls out towards man, his grave. Calls out and it says 5 things. أنا بيت الوحدة فاحملوا إلي أنيسا. I am the house of loneliness. Bring with you a friend. وأنا بيت الظلمة. And I am the house of darkness. فَاحْمِلُوا إِلَيَّ سِرَاجًا. So bring with you a lantern. وَأَنَا بَيْتُ التُّرَابِ. And I am the house of earth. فَاحْمِلُوا إِلَيَّ فِرَاشًا. So bring with you a carpet to lay down. وَأَنَا بَيْتُ الْفَقْرِ وَالْفَاقَةِ. I am the house of hunger and thirst. I am the house, of poverty and hunger. فَاحْمِلُوا إِلَيَّ كَنْزًا. So bring with you a treasure to help you in this poverty. وَأَنَا بَيْتُ الْحَيَّةِ وَالْأَقْرَبِ. and I am the house of scorpions and spiders. فَاحْمِلُوا إِلَيَّ تَرْيَاقًا. So bring with yourself some antidote. The scorpions of the grave are so severe. The grave is the lowest form of the punishment of Allah. The lowest form. Barzakh being a form higher, and hell being the highest form. The lowest form, Ayatollah Dastagib Shirazi in his book Ma'ad says that if one of the smallest scorpions of the grave was to come out from the grave and sting the seas, all 7 seas around the earth would begin boiling. This is how potent its venom is. So then they asked the Holy Prophet, like, what is meant by all of these? And the Holy Prophet replies to them, says, وَأَمَّا الْأَنِيسِ. In regards to the friend that you should take with you to the grave, he says, تِلَاوَةُ الْقُرْآنِ. The friend that will go with you into the grave to help you when you are all alone is the recitation of the Holy Quran. How much Quran you recited in this world is what will come and help you. And how unfortunate is that individual that could recite Quran when he was younger, but as he grew older, forgot how to recite Quran. No longer knows how to recite Quran. Forget him, because he forgot, and out of shame he didn't want to show up in front of his children not knowing how to recite the Quran. His children never learned how to recite Quran. How is it possible that the Shia of Ali Muhammad could be raised in a way that he doesn't know the Holy Quran? There is something very broken in us. There is something very broken in our society if we do not know how to recite the Quran. If our children do not know how to recite the Quran. If I don't have that relationship with the Holy Quran. That Quran after which Amirul Mu'mineen lists something in 30 or 40 plus fada'il in Nahjul Balagha of the Holy Quran. وَدَوَاءٌ لَيْسَ بَعْدَ الدَّاءِ. This is a medicine after which there is no disease. This is that spring from which the people of intellect will continue to drink, and they will never be satisfied. Because the more you read it, the more you understand. The Quran is illumination for the eyes. The Quran is illumination of the tongue. The Quran is illumination of the minds. The Quran, we unfortunately have reserved the Quran to what? The book of the dead. If anyone saw our relationship with the Holy Quran, they would think that this is what they recite over dead people. Some sort of occult, black magic type thing. That they only recite it over dead bodies. Because in reality, you see that when someone dies, the mayyat is lying, then everyone takes one sipara each. Okay, I'll do this. And it's odd. Because the Quran is a book of guidance. And you guys have a theory test as well for your driving as well, isn't it? Like you have to pass a written paper. So we have one in the UK as well. And you have a book that's given. And someone was given the example that it's as absurd as sitting by the body of someone that died in a car accident and reading to them the highway code. You must stop at this stop sign. You must go at this green light. You must not turn right at this point. You must only turn left when you can turn right in this state, but not in this state. You know. And what would you say to that individual? You say he's an idiot. Why are you reading the book of theory of driving to the person that just died in a car accident? It's no good to him. So then what would you say to the person that reads the Quran, the book of guidance, over the one that's already dead? Where I'm reading to him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَادْخُلِي فِي سِلْمِ كَافَّةً, and enter into submission wholly. Or I'm telling him, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْقَدْرِ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ خَيْرٌ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ خَيْرٌ مِنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ. He already knows. Because when you're dead, all the curtains are lifted in front of the eyes. Now they see the malaika, they see everything. But yet Quran has become a book of the dead for us. Our example is like that of the individual that recites the highway code over the body of someone that's just died in a car accident. Quran is guidance for us. And it's just barakah for the dead person. But how unfortunate am I that I don't take the guidance from it? Or how even worse than unfortunate, I can't read the Holy Quran. And this, by the way, we will discuss in later nights, is because Allah removes the tawfiq from an individual. All those times that you missed salah, all those times that you no longer are able to recite Dua Kumayl. You used to be able to stay awake in Laylatul Qadr, but now you can't, you get too tired. All those times you used to be able to pray regularly, but now you can't because work gets in the way. All those times you used to be able to attend the Husayniyah on time, but now you can't because the wife isn't ready. This is not you. This is Allah. Sayyidi la'allaka an ba'bika tarattani. Dua Abu Hamza Thumali says, my Lord, maybe it's because you've expelled me from your door. وَعَنْ خِدْمِتِكَ نَاحَيْتَنِي, and you have removed me from your servitude. Nothing in our lives happens except for the tawfiq of Allah. So if we were able to do something before in our lives and we can no longer do it now, that means that we committed a sin and Allah took away that ni'mah from us. We can look at it more, inshallah. I don't have much time left. So in regards to siraj, what is that lantern that an individual needs to bring? The Holy Prophet says that that lantern that you should bring to the darkness of your grave, Salatul Layl. It is your night prayer. And unfortunate really is that Shia of Ali that does not pray Salatul Layl. As in, I follow that Imam who, when struck on his head, when being taken out from the masjid, he looked towards the sun and said, "Son, bear witness that you have seen Ali, you have never seen Ali sleep, but Ali has always watched you rise. Why is it that I have no love for Sahar? That my Sahar is only there so that I can just get up and have water. I think that Sahar is only to eat. No, Sahar, the side point of it is that you get up and eat. The real point of it is you get up and pray. You get up and recite dua. When they captured one of his companions, he said to Muawiyah, said to him, "Sufli Abul Hasan, tell me about Abul Hasan." He said to him a number of things. One of the things he said to him was, "Ashhadu billah ya Muawiyah, laqad ra'aytu fi ba'di mawaqifi, wa qad arkha al-layl sudula, wa qad gharat an-nujum, wa huwa waqifun fi mahrabi qabidan ala lahyatihi, yatamalmalu tamalmul as-salim, wa yabki bukaa al-wali' al-hadim, wa huwa yaqul, ya dunya ghurri ghayri." He says, "I swear by Allah, Muawiyah, on a number of occasions when the night was passing, the stars had disappeared. وَهُوَ وَاقِفٌ فِي مَحْرَابِهِ. He, Ali, would be standing in the mihrab. قَابِضٌ عَلَى لَهْيَتِهِ يَتَمَلْمَلُ تَمَلْمُلَ السَّلِيمِ. He would be crying and his body shaking like a man bitten by a venomous snake. And in this state that he was crying and shaking out of absolute fear, he would be saying, Ya dunya ghurri ghayri, O oh dunya, go and deceive someone else, because Ali is not to be deceived. Because Ali is not to be deceived. Salatul Layl. It's that activity, that ibadat that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says that Ibadur Rahman, His closest companions, in the last few ayat of Surah Furqan, He says, الَّذِينَ يَبِيتُونَ لِرَبِّهِمْ سُجَّدًا وَقِيَامًا. And they are those that wake up from their beds in the middle of the night and do sajda and qiyam. See, the one that prays Salatul Layl, his rizq is increased, his life is saved. All these difficulties that he has, he's saved from them. The one that prays Salatul Layl, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala improves his akhlaq. He gives him sharh al-sadr. The one that prays Salatul Layl, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala illuminates his heart, illuminates his face. The one that prays Salatul Layl, Allah removes all bad body odor from him. He removes bad breath from him. Salatul Layl is so important that it is the only mustahab salah that you can recite qada of. If you wake up and realize you've missed the time for Salatul Layl, you can go and you can recite his qada. But how is it that the Shia of Ali forget Salatul Layl is not regular in his other salah? How broken are we? Where have we dropped ourselves? That we were the point of the sajda of the malaika, but now we're worse than the animals. Now we're not even inclined towards Allah. I don't think about Allah before every action. Rather, I begin to do haram after haram. Rather, I turn my back on Allah, I begin to justify my haram. I say that if I do this particular action, if I wear this particular hijab, people in society, they'll think I'm an extremist and they'll start going against me. The person who is worried about the people will always be chasing the people. The person who's worried about Allah becomes independent from everything. He becomes independent from all these desires. He becomes independent from all these fears. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the fortress of those that are fearful. But if you fear man, if you fear mortal men, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always make you fear mortal men. And on that day, when everyone will be filled with fear, you too will be filled with fear. But those that incline themselves towards Allah, on that day when everyone is fearful, they will be the only ones that will have no fear. They won't be afraid. Rather, they will be staunch in their faith. We're so broken. When we're not inclined towards the religion in the least. We don't want to incline our children towards the religion in the least. We show through our actions that we don't take the religion seriously. Our children grow up and realize that the religion isn't something to be taken seriously. Because mum and dad didn't take it seriously. Mum and dad didn't pray, they didn't have beard, they didn't have hijab, they didn't do anything. So now the child thinks, okay, there is this duality in religion. That I go to mosque, I pretend to be religious. When I go home, I do everything that is haram. And then we say, why is it our children are becoming murtad? Why is it that our children don't want to pray? Why is it that our children don't? These are the reasons. Look towards what we're feeding them. Is my money halal? And by halal, I don't mean you go and sell alcohol. Everyone knows that. Even a child knows that. To sell alcohol or allow alcohol to be drunk on your premises or be anything involved with it is haram. Your money is haram. Everything. You're going to hell. But there are certain times where we don't realize we're making our money haram. How is that? I work for someone. They pay me to work for an hour. They would be very upset if they realized that I was hiding away from my work for 15 minutes so I could have a coffee. It is not part of my contract that every hour I could have a 15-minute break to have a coffee or to go out or do whatever I need to do while my boss's back is turned. 45 minutes is what I worked. 15 minutes is what I did contrary to my contract. 45 minutes is halal, 15 minutes is haram. Multiply all of those 15 minutes. I add them all together. I bring that, and there's a whole chunk of these 15 minutes where I've not fulfilled what is required as part of my contract, but I've been earning the money for it. So now those 15 minutes are accumulated, then mixed with my halal money. Now I can't differentiate between halal and haram. I go out, I buy food, I feed my children. They raise up in this world, not being inclined towards Allah, not wanting to pray. What is the effect of having haram in our stomachs? Karbala. قَدْ مُلِئَتْ بُطُونَكُمْ مِنَ الْحَرَامِ. The reason my words are having no effect on you, says Abu Abdullah, is because your stomachs are filled with haram. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the tawfiq, first and foremost, for me to act upon that which I have said. Secondly, He gives you the tawfiq to act upon that which you have heard. Oh Allah, forgive our sins. Forgive the sins of our parents. Allah, those of our parents that are alive, give them long lives. Those of our parents that have left this world, give them a place next to Muhammad in Jannah. Oh Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time and ours to be amongst His true Muttabeen, His true orators, for the acceptance of these du'as and any of the du'as of the brothers and sisters abroad. Please recite Allah salawat ala Muhammad.